right, it is Monday, October 6th at 6 o'clock. We're going to call our meeting to order and start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, next one, roll call.
Simonson,
Yes.
Rickrell,
Yes.
Lyon,
Yes.
Colister, Coolman,
Yes.
Alinger,
Yes.
Bennett.
Yes.
All right, can I get approval of tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Got a motion by Coolman,
Second.
seconded by Bennett. If there's no discussion, take the roll.
Rickrell,
Yes.
Lyon,
Yes.
Coolman,
Yes.
Alinger,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Simonson.
Yes.
All right, we moved to item 6, which is presentations. Item A will be the YMCA and City of Maquoketa's capital campaign update.
Okay, Scott, why don't you come to the podium and we'll start by this agenda, which there are a few heavy lifts in it with something exciting. So, first off, I can't thank Scott Warren enough for the work he does with the YMCA and the YMCA leadership that has gone on to this project, which is pretty well rounded throughout the community as something of a next dream of the YMCA that we've led. And of 5 things that we've discussed, we've narrowed down a capital campaign project to essentially pool tiling, which you've repainted that pool shell 4 times in its career at about $50,000 a hit or so. You remember the cost of that, and the life of those shell paints are only a handful of years. And we'll be painting the new shells that I remember painting my first year as well here soon. And we're seeking to improve Madison Street from Judson to Summit. We have a lot of parking issues there, especially during morning ball leagues and summer ball leagues, and all sorts of youth programming. So there's been a major parking need there for a long time, and I think one of you had said that during the winter basketball league that cars were parked on the trail all the way back to the Summit Street Bridge. Can't have it, especially with how popular YMCA is. And the big ticket thing's the aquatic park, which seems to be getting the most attention. And we've discussed this at numerous Parks Board meetings and also talked about it as a council with our goal-setting strategies for quite some time. I would turn it over to Scott here shortly to talk about a bit of the process and discuss a little bit where the future of the Y is once this is built, assuming it's built and assuming we get some authorization from the city council tonight to eventually file our grant applications and financing required. Scott?
No, very good. And I know we've talked about it a few times, so I'll keep it brief. Like Josh had said, the tiling, we actually already have one donor who has contributed $150,000 towards the tiling of the pool. So we're well on our way. All in all, to date, we have commitments of $770,000. Our goal, in a nutshell, is a little over $1 million in 6 weeks. So we want to be at that mark prior to applying for a CAT grant, should you be interested in us pursuing that. So it's kind of where we're at. I believe you've all seen the diagrams of the splash pad, seen the financials. I guess at this point in time, I would just turn it over to Mayor and Council and see if you have any questions.
Let's go over the diagrams really quick. And one edit we've received so far for commentary is to find neutral coloring for the kind of this aggressive shade of blue on the park. But if there's anything, audience too, if there's anything in your minds, Council, as you look at these, as you proceed through these, stop me. Let me know what you think. It's designed to be sort of an upside down look at what the Maquoketa River looks like if you're looking at this from the opposite angle, where the caves, this mound-like structure, is supposed to be oriented to show that's where the river is running by and coming through, and it leads down to the recirculation system back towards the larger pump house where there's restrooms. So I'll go ahead and scroll through. Scott, if you see anything, or maybe you want to explain that center structure and why that's kind of fairly important to keeping entertainment for ages that are a little bit higher.
Oh, definitely. And we're actually looking at 4,000 square foot. So we wanted it big enough to where if you have middle schoolers there, and then you also have, for 1-year-olds, 2-year-olds, they can still all be there and enjoy. One of the things that didn't show, but we're actually planning a sidewalk that would connect up with our main parking lot also. Yep, we always look at it, with things like this, we call it the 80-20 rule. So it's the 20% that gives you 80% of the wow. In our case, it's going to be the blue awnings that are going to attract, and then it's going to be that big play structure right in the middle.
Tractor doesn't have to be green, but
Probably should be.
Probably should be.
just
Yeah.
depends on what's in.
We'll see who sponsors it.
Yep.
There you go.
The shade is nice.
Oh, yeah, they're
Yeah.
very, very nice.
A
Yeah,
lot of
really.
limestone features which are natural to the area. Going back to some data analysis, Tiffin and Solon were very helpful in determining, I guess, maybe what the Parks Fund budget looks like heading into this project once it's executed. Solon being a 6,000 square foot splash pad, Tiffin being smaller, but Solon's all-in cost for water, sewer, electric, anything and heading into an annual service repair costs and maintenance contracts, they were about 25,000 in for a 6,000 square foot recirculating pad. This is north of 4,000 square feet. For one reason or another, Scott and I have asked for a couple times over. We're still being shown a few $1,000s for operations and maintenance. I don't necessarily want to pin that expectation down with you right now as something to hold on to. So I think perhaps we should be thinking as a council, what does this cost to run, give water and recirculate and repump it? About $25,000 a year out of the Parks General Fund budget. So that would be probably one of the financial questions that I would ask if I was in your position. I think maybe the other thing to talk about is when we discuss this, supporting the YMCA, and we go back to 2019, and maybe my best pitch to you as to why we should be interested in this is, you know, the YMCA was built 15 years ago, more, 20,
18?
18. In 2021-22 was your first very large capital reinvestment. Your 2019 June numbers for monthly membership revenue was $28,487. The revenue for monthly memberships, the membership rate has not increased since I've been here and not since this time. But because of the reinvestment and because of the outreach and some of the things the YMCA continues to do, that monthly revenue rate for just June 2025 goes up $36,131. It's good to invest, it's good to spark interest, and it's good to draw this much traffic to this area. And I think Councilman Kuhlman said it best in one of our strategy sessions, that whether this is fenced in or unfenced, even an unfenced version of this will benefit the YMCA. Probably not to the greatest potential it could have had, but it still will increase interest with the YMCA, and it will be managed by the YMCA, and a lot of folks are really excited that the YMCA and the city were able to find a bridge here to make something pretty special happen. The more we're able to gather interest in this and support Scott and support the capital campaign team with the YMCA, the lesser the up to number will be for the city of Maquoketa at the end of this. So when we say up to 1.25 in a TIF debt, as recommended by the Finance and Personnel Committee, I can't sit here and tell you right now what that number is going to be 6 months from now. It's highly variable on the success of the campaign team, the success of a grant, and there might be more grants out there to pursue. It's just for the purpose of an application at a later time, we need to be pursuing this. And not many know it, but the grant source we're pursuing with the state is a $10 million pot of money. It's first come, first serve. And before the fundraising hit the point it did for Glovic Community Park, we were targeting this, and at the last second, the rug got pulled out from underneath us because the funds were exhausted. So the competitive nature of pursuing this project and putting us in a good capitalistic position for this program, I'm pushing to you that this is what's been designed so far through quite a bit of public feedback, and the up to number supports the application to where it needs to be to put this grant in a good position. If you have any design comments or suggestions for Scott on where this is heading, this would be probably one of your last two opportunities before we get a little bit further into the design process that you would see probably a few months from now, where we're looking at things again.
I think it looks awesome.
I just have a couple of somewhat related questions. Having myself never actually even seen a splash pad, let alone been to one, I really don't even know what they're all about other than getting wet. But what do you foresee the usage to be while this is open in the 3 months during the summer?
Well, and the beauty of a splash pad is we could open it, if we have beautiful weather starting in April even, we could open it earlier. So it has a longer season, or the likelihood we would have a longer season. As far as usage, we take a look at just what our usage is with our indoor pool. So just in the summer, the 12-week summer period, we'll see about 15,000 visits. So I think conservatively, a number like 30,000, I think that's an easy number to hit. Sometimes part of what I've seen online is, well, it's fine for kids 5 and under. Okay, this isn't designed for just kids 5 and under. So we're gonna have the middle schoolers walking over after school and playing in it. I can guarantee you that's gonna be a big attraction for them. Do I think high schoolers, that might be a stretch? But yeah, I think kids of all ages are gonna come and benefit from it and enjoy it.
Thank you.
Are you gonna have staff out there when that's open, or is it just, you're gonna let everybody be on their best behavior?
At this point in time, we're not planning on staffing that. I mean, we obviously located it right to the west of the Y because we felt like it would be less likely to be vandalized. We'll have cameras there. We'll have the lighting at night, those types of things to help to deter vandalism.
Mayor, that's one of the reasons you don't see cities moving towards building full-on pools very much anymore. And I used to be a lifeguard. I struggle to understand it, but watching a pool open on Memorial Day and for whatever reason close in August, I'm not gonna. My high school senior education was a bit strange because for the first 2 or 3 weeks I was lifeguarding for various PE classes as the school got started. So you just don't see that in the labor force anymore, where the pools are extending into September, and that's part of the reason that cities have gone to large aquatic play structures like this, is to stay away from the staffing and large water contributions in it.
Yeah, and keeping in mind the partnership, what we're talking about, obviously we've had a strong partnership for some time. The role of the YMCA is effectively to keep the water going. So take care of the pumps, take care of the mechanical room, take care of the water. If you're talking cleaning facilities, if you're talking anything over and above that, that's gonna fall under Public Works and the city as a whole. So we'll manage it collectively and work together on it, but it will be a city asset at the end of the day. So we as volunteers have come together. We believe in the project. We want to volunteer and help and raise the money and generate the support needed to build what we have down on paper.
Then there was a pump house on the end, I think. Are there restrooms there too?
Yes.
There will be. Or that's in the plan?
I don't know if I provided a bit of that information in my background, but getting a hold of the state wasn't at first easy, but then we actually received quite a bit of great feedback from them about some of their policy exemptions. A lot of cities are saying that their park restroom is a quarter mile away on the other side of it. That doesn't count. But we're right on the YMCA property here, and they won't tell you yes or no, but it's like, with a degree of confidence, can you say this matches what you're looking for a policy exemption? Yes, it looks that way. It's like, okay, I'm glad we're on the right track then for the restroom exemption, because a certain amount of patrons equals a certain amount of restrooms and showers, and all of a sudden that shower house becomes a $600,000 shelter, shower house, pump house, and that's not in the territory we're in anymore. So we're gonna get a lot more fun out of our budget.
You've done an exceptional job.
Yes.
I just want to commend you. You've done above and beyond to get even this far.
No, I mean, this is how it should work. I mean, I came and kind of laid things out, and we talked back and forth, and we figured out, okay, we feel this is what's best for the city, and then we move forward.
Yep, I'm looking forward to it. Let's get it done, Scott.
Thank you.
Anybody else have anything? Okay, thanks, Scott.
Very good, thank you.
All right, I inadvertently skipped over public participation. Is there anybody in the audience who wishes to get up and address the council? Anybody on Zoom? Okay, we'll move on. Next, public hearings, we have none. Item 8 is our consent agenda, consisting of the minutes from the September 8th, 2025 special city council meeting, the September 15th, 2025 regular city council meeting, and the September 18th, 2025 special city council meeting, and our October 1st special city council meeting. Get a motion for that?
We have to do the whole.
Oh, bills payable through October 6th. Renewal of a Class B retail alcohol license filed by Quick Trip. Renewal of a Class B retail alcohol license filed by the other Quick Trip. And new Class C retail alcohol license filed by City Limits Restaurant.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion by Lyon, seconded by Coolman. Any discussion here? And take the roll.
Lyon,
Yes.
Coolman,
Yes.
Alinger,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Simonson,
Yes.
Rickrell.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. We have no old business. We move into new business. Item 10A is a resolution directing Planning and Zoning Commission to study and make recommendations regarding proposed amendment to the zoning code.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll bring you up to speed. So, you might be curious on why we start on this route, and there's two pathways in our city code. We've practiced this one before on a rezoning with Brad. I figure if this is just an absolute no at the city council, then we're done here. And that's gonna save everyone quite a bit of time. Could have went the other way for the P and Z. This is a unique application request. The applicant has largely parceled out the floodplain, and at this point is requesting that be considered for agriculture 1 land with the 16-acre buffer that's in page 5, it's shaded by green, to remain residential 1 ground for housing development, but as we see it now, or at least as I understand it, that demand's not here, and it's intended for hays and pasture grasses and keeping that ground as is. But you heard the emergent sort of need of the applicant at the last time regarding agriculture and the intent to graze. What's before you tonight doesn't come with any conditions as far as I'm aware. What I'm portraying to you is that this is either a no or it goes to P and Z, and my recommendation is to send it to P and Z because I think it does give an opportunity for folks to continue to talk out how to best use this buffer land or what happens with fence lines, or if I'm gonna use this agricultural land in the future, maybe there's a better opportunity to get some public input, which has been large to this point so far, but there's been a lot of pressure on this scenario. My fear is that it would totally overwhelm the planning and zoning compared to the last time we had it. So I suspect that may be the case again if we get it to planning and zoning tonight. To me, this application seems like this is the way the land should have been set up 25 years ago when the subdivision started. And maybe this orange parcel shouldn't have been in the county. But we're dealing with a very, very large swath of land that's residential 1 ground and was put that way for a reason I can't describe right now, and it's creating a lot of issues here and now. And we can look in the rearview mirror, the neighborhood can look in the rearview mirror about what could have happened over the last several years. But right now, I think the council here has the impossible task of trying to sort through public comments and make a reasonable decision. The first one tonight is my pitch to you to send it to P and Z for further analysis. I have written in here what seems to me to be the end story of this is if we fail to take any action on this tonight, whether it's by district court action or by a state code change, that seems to be the path it's heading towards, and I don't know the outcome of that given the variables in the potential case. So either way, I don't think there's any risk-free path for me to offer you a recommendation on tonight, but for the purpose of this here and now, I think you have a reasonable plan that should go to P and Z, and it would come back to you if P and Z decides to recommend it. I'll take questions from you to me at first, but I'm sure the audience here would love to address you.
Does there anybody in the audience have anything to add to this? Please. You have to come up to the podium.
Good evening. Thank you for your time. You might recall, I was here the last go-around. I represent Big Country Properties, a move-in who previously sought to rezone for all intents and purposes all of the land that was purchased near this subdivision from R1 to A1. That failed, obviously, and so my client is, in an effort to reach some sort of common ground, we think have put together a quite reasonable proposal in that now he only seeks to rezone from R1 to A1 for all intents and purposes, the land that's located within the floodplain. And obviously, land that's located in a floodplain can't be built on. So an R1 designation just doesn't make any sense if the land is in a floodplain, because neither single-family housing or duplexes could even be built on it. This proposal allows for a buffer of more than 16 acres between the subdivision and the land that my client would now like to be rezoned to A1. For all intents and purposes, the concerns that were raised at the last council meeting were primarily safety concerns. The residents saying, we don't want cows or animals that close to our property line. We don't want the possibility of there being corn someday or soybeans someday, and there's gonna be spraying happening that might be carried onto our property by the prevailing winds. But that is addressed by the fact that there is this significant buffer. If this proposal is recommended by planning and zoning and eventually the council vote in favor of it, the only way for my client to put cattle onto the new A1 ground is if he has to build an interior fence. So now there's literally 2 fences between any animal and the subdivision. The likelihood that an animal could escape 2 adequately constructed fences in order to harm a resident seems infinitely remote. Similarly, because that ground is so far away from the subdivision, the likelihood that any pesticide could possibly carry on to the property owners of the nearby subdivision is equally unlikely. So we're hoping this council will see it clear to allowing planning and zoning to take a look at this newest proposal, which we feel is meaningfully different from the last proposal, to see if planning and zoning can provide recommendations that might aid the council in its decision going forward. We would also point out that, this is harvesting season. It's not easy for my client to get local members of the community that support it or him in his endeavor to come tonight, because many of those people are farmers or have businesses that rely on farming, and it's just too busy of a time of the year to be here present or in person. However, in less than 12 hours time, I guess 8 hours time, he was able to secure a petition signed by roughly 30 or 31 people, about 24 of which are local business owners that live and work in or around Maquoketa, all of whom support it. The Jackson County Sheriff signed his petition. The local feed mill owner signed the petition. The local grain elevator owner of the sale barn, a monument and cement business owner, I understand, supports him by signing the petition. The president of Fidelity Bank, located in Maquoketa, is in support and signed his petition. 2 executives at Maquoketa State Bank support this request, recognize that this is meaningfully different than the last request, and have signed his petition. The general manager of K's Motorsports here in Maquoketa, the owner and operator of Raider Brothers Farm Implement Dealership in Maquoketa signed. The owner of the local bowling alley, and I could go on, and I don't want to bore you with the names, but we are trying to impress upon you that while the sheer number of individuals from the neighboring division outnumber the number of people that we were able to bring here tonight, there is widespread community support among business owners who recognize that land needs to be put to its most economically viable use, or at least some economically viable use. And presently, that land located in a floodplain has no use with an R1 designation. Grazing cattle, that sort of distance away from the subdivision shouldn't be deemed to be offensive by anyone, not by the members of the council, and not, we think, even by those that live in that subdivision. So with your support, we hope that you will see your way clear to letting P&Z do their work and guide and counsel you on what they feel is appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions? Last chance for the audience, if you want to come up and address the council.
What would the rest of the land be used for?
Rick,
You have to come
Rick,
up, you have to come up to
Yep.
the podium.
we got to keep it organized tonight, and Mayor, if someone's going to come up, its name and address, please.
Rick Schmidt, 803 Timber Drive. How would, not the floodplain, the buffer strip, how would the buffer strip be taken care of? What would be done with it?
Well, it's not, wouldn't it have to be mowed?
Yeah, it's currently zoned residential 1 ground. My current understanding, in my limited conversation, is that there would be pasture grasses and hay at that point, which is not technically allowed in R1, but we've been allowing that to happen because the land is so vast out there. So that's not uncommon in other portions of the city. But that's the extent of intel I can give you right now.
So it would be baled or something, clipped or baled or
Yes.
something? Okay.
Okay. Is there anyone else?
So I'm Austin Daniels. I live at 1703 Timber Court. So I won't talk long because most of it you guys have heard from me before. I came into this whole scenario pretty open-minded. I moved into the residence 2 years ago. I try to see reason right from wrong. That being said, I think I mentioned in a previous meeting, when I bought our house for a significant clip of money, I knew what I was buying, I knew why I was buying it, and I knew what I was paying for it. I think Mr. Steinus did too. He knew the land that he was buying. I knew a house to have a golf course with residential land at that time. And while I can acknowledge things change, in my head, I've been pretty level-headed of listening to all parties and talking about restrictions that are beneficial for all of us. When I personally look at this proposal, this to me looks like a step in a bigger picture. This does not look, let me summarize. If we had restrictions that ran with the land that was something like's being proposed here, I would still personally, I know I don't make that decision, I could be open-minded to that. But when we do things that are for a 5-year term or a 3-year term or whatever have you, to me, when I look at this, it's opening the door to a bigger picture. And I would just ask that you consider residents who have invested in the town, the place, knew why they were doing it, when they were doing it. So that would be my input.
Okay, thank you. All right, last chance. Anybody else want to get up and address? Okay.
Good evening. My name is Marie Young. I live at 808 Timber Drive. I'm really here with just some questions for us to consider. You know, the reason we are all here is because the council has been elected by constituents, because we all want to ensure that all rezoning supports the economic vitality, environmental integrity, and long-term well-being of the Maquoketa community collectively, not just one person's immediate business interests. So I'm here with some questions. I don't expect them to be answered at this moment, but I think it's things that we need to consider, again, for the collective wellness of our community, not for one person's immediate interests. So my questions are, how does this proposed rezoning align with the City of Maquoketa's comprehensive plan and long-term vision for community growth? What specific economic benefits will this rezoning bring to current residents, specifically the ones that are surrounding the area? Jobs, tax revenue. Could the rezoning shift have a tax burden on the existing residents or change property values in the nearby neighborhood? I believe it already has. We're struggling to sell one of the homes in the neighborhood. We already know the answer to that question, as Tiffany Mangler brought up in our last meeting. What environmental studies have been conducted on the proposed area, and what mitigation steps are going to be considered if this land becomes agricultural or semi-industrial? How will runoff, noise, and chemical use be managed to protect the nearby homes and waterways? How does rezoning enhance or threaten the health, safety, and general well-being, again, of the collective community? And how will the change encourage growth that keeps families, young professionals, and retirees in the area or drive them away? And how does it affect public spaces or potential for public spaces? Recreation, and something that is very unique and special to Maquoketa, our natural character. Who stands to benefit most from this rezoning? And how are those conflicts of interest being managed? Who does it benefit? The collective community? One person with an immediate interest. And last, what mechanisms will ensure the accountability and the compliance of the land and that it is being developed under this new zoning category? So far, it hasn't been going well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, anybody else? Last call.
I'm Nicole Shipley, 901 Timber Drive. I'll keep this brief, but want to thank you all this evening for the opportunity to speak to you. Just a few quick words. Going back to June 30th Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, I was there. And my concern has centered around the intended use of the land and lack of transparency that we've experienced. The land use case story has morphed, and it is documented as such in agendas, the city's draft conditional zoning agreement's purpose and background section, and Mr. Steinis' own draft conditional zoning agreement. What was once 50 to 60 head of cattle, no bulls, no calves, for part of the year, became cattle and pasture grass and soybean crops, and most recently an eventual A1 zoned parcel without restrictions after a period of 5 years. As trying as this process has been from my seat, I'm grateful to have finally cut through some of the conflicting statements and laid eyes on his intentions in writing. The end goal is evidenced in the draft agreement and as is being proposed tonight's A1 without restrictions. And I think back, if our neighborhood would have initially taken him at his word, we would be in a dire situation right now had he moved forward with his original plans. But really at the heart of this for me is what we have around us right now is a big question mark when considering ag and all potential uses that are permitted. I do question the compatibility of the unknown with the close proximity of our homes. And for what it's worth, I do appreciate the opportunity to speak with you tonight and all the work that you all have done behind the scenes while we haven't been in contact regularly, so thank you.
Okay. Is there anybody else?
Jim Tyne, 1602 Timber Court. Got a couple questions. One of them, I want to remind everybody, Big Game Properties purchased this ground knowing what it was. I think at the last council meeting, it came out he didn't know it, but by the end of the meeting, he admitted he didn't know it. Dan Steinis is a pretty good salesman, and he's done very well, but that alone, he tells us what we want to hear to get the sale. And that's living proof of it right there. Who puts 2 fences up? I think if we approve this to Ag 1, I think we're opening a can of worms. 2 years down the road, he's gonna come back. I want the rest of it Ag 1. I firmly believe that that's what's going on. Or take the fence out. Why do you need 2 fences? Just question. We are willing to work with him and come up with conditions, but he doesn't want any of them, or he wants limitations. My house is gonna be there 50 years from now, not just 5 years, 6 years down the road. There needs to be conditions if we work something out, and we are willing to work with him. We have tried contacting him, and contact my attorney. That is what's being told to us. He doesn't want to communicate with us. Just pointing that out. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
Tabitha Hazenbank, 906 Timber Drive. And I just wanted to speak to the fence a little bit too. The fence that's right up next to our backyards is overgrown with grass. Some of the weeds are up to the top of it, which I brought a picture if you guys are interested in seeing, but that's what we're dealing with. That's what's changed out there. So now we're gonna add another fence, and then we're gonna continue to have overgrown grass. There have been cows out since the last meeting that we had here. However, they were not Dan's cows, but they've been out, they were out for 2 months. They were finally put away last Thursday. So unfortunately, I've been exposed a little bit to what it's going to be like with cattle out there, and it's been super disruptive. My dogs go absolutely crazy. I cannot continue doing a Zoom meeting at home without putting myself on mute. It's just a huge change for us. So I guess I just want to remind everyone to consider what we have out there, what we love, what we've invested in. We're talking about Dan's investments this whole time. These are our homes and our investments as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Okay, well, once again.
Mayor,
Oh, yes.
this gentleman by the name of Nate keeps raising and lowering his hand on Zoom. Nate, if you don't mind, you can unmute yourself and address the council if you wish.
Yes. Hey, good evening, Mayor and council members. Jared Shipley. I live 901 Timber Drive. I'm asking you to keep this area rezoned R1. This neighborhood was here long before the applicant bought this land. He should have done his homework before buying in a residential area. That's on him, not us. We've moved here for a quiet family neighborhood, not to have cattle or farm operations next door. And honestly, do any of these business owners pushing for this change even live here? I don't think so. We're the ones who have to deal with it, not them. Please protect this neighborhood and vote no. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, well, the business at hand is, do we want to send this to the Planning and Zoning Commission to make a study and a recommendation?
To me, this looks like a happy medium from what was presented before. I mean, it looks like he kind of wants to pull back and, you know, it's kind of the best of both worlds. I'll make a motion to send it to planning and zoning so they can take a look at it.
Okay, do we have a second? No second, so I guess it dies right there. So we declared no?
We have a resolution at hand here. So if there's no supporting second, my recommendation would be to you to strike it down, which we don't have a motion on it, and I think you've accomplished that objective, unlike the ordinance vote before where we had to vote on it. So
Okay.
what I'm feeling from you now is
Josh, we'd like a vote. If it's going to be stricken, we would like the council to acknowledge that they are killing this proposal.
I think that's fair. So I think the motion would be here then to not allow this to proceed to council, and then we're voting yes to the motion to not allow it as opposed to what's designed to be in front of you today. So at least we have a documented motion in the minute book for the city describing the motion, the not allow it, and then we're finished here tonight, assuming there's a second, and that passes.
Okay, can we get that changed?
1 minute. I thought pretty clearly that when we went through this before, that we set a precedent that we're not going to take land that was changed to R1 from A1 and ship it back over to A1. Again, because we have a limited amount of space where we can put residential neighborhoods in Maquoketa. Maquoketa has always been roughly the same size, but that doesn't mean it's always going to be roughly the same size. There's a lot of things in place now that make it appear as though Maquoketa is on the verge of growing. And I personally have changed my mind completely on this from when I first saw it to what I think now. And I would like to make a motion that we do not change the zoning on this.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Rickle, seconded by Lyon, to not change the zoning and kick this down to the Planning and Zoning Committee. Is there any discussion here? None? Take the roll.
Coolman,
No.
Alinger,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Simonson,
Yes.
Rick Earl,
Yes.
Lyon.
Yes.
Okay, passes.
Okay.
We'll move on then. Item B is a resolution authorizing up to $1,250,000 in City of Maquoketa debt financing and execution of the Maquoketa Area YMCA Aquatic Park Project.
We'll get that previous item accurately identified in the minutes too. Similar to our discussion on the presentation section of this agenda, this up to amount to 1.25, this would be a simple resolution to support that up to amount. I don't have that final figure for it for purpose in the send to the grant application. We need this resolution tonight, so.
So with this, by voting yes on this will push you to be able to apply for those grants, and this will open the doors for all of that, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure everybody know that.
So move.
Second.
Got a motion by Simonson, seconded by Bennett. Any discussion here? Take the roll.
Alinger.
Yes.
Bennett.
Yes.
Simonson.
Yes.
Rickrell.
Yes.
Lyon.
Yes.
Coolman.
Yes.
Okay, that one passes. Item C is a resolution approving a professional service agreement in the amount of $58,481 with commercial recreational specialists for design, engineering, and construction administration of the Maquoketa Area YMCA Aquatic Park Project.
Thank you, Mayor. I had to check if Scott was still here. It's not an assumption. So it might surprise you to this point, all the service we've received from a design perspective has been free of charge, a really amazing word. And then we receive a contract offer for this. I actually feel really strong about what's being offered here from an all-in perspective to design and get these to bidding documents and oversee construction. So I think this is just a killer deal. And like I said, in a few months, you'll be looking at some more advanced plans and be able to offer a little more input as we get there. So I have no reason not to recommend this to you tonight.
So moved. Second.
I think
I think everybody's excited about getting a little wet here.
Yeah. All right, let's try again. Only one. You making the motion?
So moved.
Okay. You making the second?
Second.
All right, we got a motion by Bennett, seconded by Lyon. And if there's no discussion, take the roll.
All right. Bennett.
Yes.
Simonson.
Yes.
Rickrell.
Yes.
Lyon.
Yes.
Coolman.
Yes.
Alinger.
Yes.
All right, that passes. We move on to item D, which is a resolution approving and authorizing execution of First Amendment to the agreement for private development between the City of Maquoketa and BSM2 Development LLC. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor, and this is, in my opinion, the last big lift tonight, but Meadow Park subdivision is at Summit and Western. It's got 3 housing units on it technically. This agreement was passed just before I got here, and I was one of the lucky ones. I bought a home as quickly as I could in Maquoketa to have a sub 4% mortgage. Some of the backstory is fun with that, involving Matt Tranel over at Maquoketa State Bank. But between the time of 60-day closing of my home rate versus where it ended up in that 60 days, it went from sub 4 to 5.5, and there's bankers in the room, and it hasn't been the same since. And so I'm trying to describe this to you as larger than a Maquoketa problem. I mean, I'm reminded anytime I drive into Dubuque, you're looking to the right as you're coming down the airport hill, you see 4 homes on it in a larger swath of land compared to our Meadow Park subdivision. So I would make the argument that our developer, who's our first in quite a while of this scale, is really put at a severe disadvantage, not by his own faults. I mean, I personally have had conversations with contractors asking, why isn't this a good place to build? And typically the answer I was receiving a year or 2 years ago was, we're 18 to 24 months out on mid-level size projects or some other home somewhere. We can't even begin to thinking about taking a lot and building a house. It's just not in our building capacity. So there's been a TIF agreement that's been in the background here with some timestamps that are quickly expiring. A couple of these have been addressed by this amendment. One of the major updates is the actual finish of the construction infrastructure that happened there. We adjusted that date. Another major highlight is adjusting the 10 housing units marker date from December 31st this year. He's obviously not going to hit that to December 31st, 2028. He did claim his TIF certification for the first time, and let me just tell you that that TIF rebate amount does not pay back 1.1 or $1.2 million. That's what he had to do, and that was the smart business move for him to do, but his 15-year clock has already started as of this fall. And the other kind of complex nature of this amendment, and I'm open to discuss this with you entirely, is he has asked about a 6-row townhome someday, which isn't allowed in R1 zoning. So you get into R2 and you start thinking about 12 apartments under one roof type stuff, not necessarily a 6-row townhome. And my advice to Brian, the owner, was if you came with a very calculated plan and some diagrams and stood by that plan and then presented it, you might stand a good chance. But here we are having a zoning conversation sort of on the back end of this agreement. Kitty corner to this property at Meadow Park is R2 on the other side of Western, so it's not out of place from a spot zoning perspective. But what we're doing is not changing zoning here. It's just striking out a small section of the agreement that really promised him to build on R1 and stay on R1. So if he wanted to build a 6-row townhome and get this rezoned to R2, you'd still have to go through the same process. Nothing here changes that. The P&Z, the council actions, the ordinance change and some of these things. So I've had to give some quick education regarding that. So I would take any questions if you have any. This is probably the last big one on this agenda. It's been kind of something staff and a couple council members and the mayor and I have been talking about the last few months.
Anybody have any questions? You all understand what we're doing here?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion by Lyon, seconded by Bennett. Have no discussion, take the roll.
Simonson,
Yes.
Rickrell,
Yes.
Lyon,
Yes.
Coolman,
Yes.
Alinger,
Yes.
Bennett.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Item G is a resolution accepting work of contractor on the East Maple Drainage Project.
Guess what, we're on E.
E?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Flipped it the wrong way. Item E is a resolution approving change order number 1 increase in the amount of $2,785.55 to Jim Schrader Construction Incorporated for the Prairie Creek Recreational Trail and Disc Golf Course Project. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. It's a very small request on a $2.6 million construction job so far. And the first change order on this particular contract with Jim Schrader Construction. The long story short with this is Jackson County Engineering has been overseeing the construction of this project in kind for it, by the way. And along the path, I guess they discovered water somehow in this dry month, and they didn't feel very good about the subbase that was going in near some of this trail. So they wanted to add 2 inches of extra rock base to it to make sure the trail was pretty well supported. This came from Jackson County Engineering, cites the tonnage price, has a very small impact on the overall project budget.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion by Lyon, seconded by Bennett. Is there any discussion? Take the roll.
Rickrell,
Yes.
Lyon,
Yes.
Coolman,
Yes.
Alinger,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Simonson.
Yes.
All right, that passes. Item F is a resolution approving change order number 1 and the increased amount of $5,265.57 payable to Steiger Construction Incorporated for the East Maple Drainage Project. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. There's quite a few additions and deductions that went into the end of this project. For a project that was fairly light on our typical workload throughout the summer, this one wasn't without a few neighbor meetings and making sure land was graded appropriately and making sure the affected neighbors in the previous real estate transactions were set up appropriately too. So there's a few neighbors to thank in the cooperation of this project. What certainly helped depress this change order and this final change order just to $5,000 is changing over from an urban grass mix on about 5 acres of the project to cover crop, which is more common. And that's what's going to happen on the southern portion of the property. Otherwise, we're able to reuse as much fence material as we could on this, thanks to Louis Clausen and the bowling alley. And it's along our fence line now. And there was a piping addition that we had to make sure that we had a good connecting pipe. I guess they uncovered a portion of bad pipe inside that would be between PMW and closer to the Casey side. So a little extra piping. We had the urban grass to cover crop change and some extra land grading in this. But overall, it came down just to $5,000, 5265. The engineer and I were out there last week just kind of going through a final walkthrough of it for certification and accepting the work, which are your next couple items, and then a final pay app, and we're done. So I thought it was a good construction experience. Don't know if you've seen it out there, but it sure looks like it could hold a lot of water.
It looks nice.
It does look good.
So moved.
Okay, we got a motion by Lyon, seconded by Alinger. Any discussion here? Take the roll.
Lyon,
Yes.
Coolman,
Yes.
Alinger,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Simonson,
Yes.
Rickrell.
Yes.
Okay, that one passes. Next one is our item G, a resolution accepting work of contractor on the East Maple Drainage Project.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion by Coolman, seconded by Bennett. Any discussion here? Take the roll.
Coolman,
Yes.
Alinger,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Simonson,
Yes.
Rickrell,
Yes.
Lyon.
Yes.
Okay, that one passes. Item H is a discussion and possible motion approving final payment number 3 to Steiger Construction in the amount of $28,686.41 for general construction services on the East Maple Drainage Project.
So moved.
Okay, we got a motion by Coolman,
Second.
seconded by Alinger. Any discussion on this one? And take the roll.
Alinger,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Simonson,
Yes.
Rickrell,
Yes.
Lyon,
Yes.
Coolman.
Yes.
All right, that one passes. We made it to reports and communications. Is there anything from any of the city council members? City manager?
It's Jamie's first solo minutes recording here, so I thought she did a good job, and certainly not an easy meeting. Operation Edith is Wednesday in the afternoon. Councilman Simonson helped me out here for a time, 6 p.m. If you hear sirens going off, it's not any danger, like I maybe thought my first year here. So it's routine as usual. It's a practice to get out of the house if there's a fire and get yourself and your kiddos or your dog and grab your couple things and get out and wave hi to the firefighters going around.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, got a motion by Coolman,
Second.
seconded by Lyon. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're adjourned.